I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. Thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you can probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. You're listening to the sports coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, man, much love to the fam. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. What's poppin', fam? Good to see y'all. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Get all your prop bets in at FanDuel. And big ups to the fam. In Prop 2 Live, I meant to holler at you guys a little earlier today, man, but I had a lot of stuff to do. Kind of took some rest. You know, it's one of those days when you get a little extra rest so that you can handle your business later on. So big ups to y'all. Good to see y'all in the chat. Been a while. I know OG says been a while. It's been since the draft. Since the draft recap, I want to say. Since the last time I did an actual live with you guys. So good to see you. OG, shout out to you, man, as always, man. Big ups to OG. Pops TG, shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you as well. Much love, man. Appreciate y'all. Go get her. What's popping, man? What's up, Slick Mick? He said, I listen to that song every morning. There you go. Why you eating your nice bowl of a clam chowder, Slick Mick? That's how you do it, brother. Yeah, there you go. Shout out to you. All right, big ups to y'all, man. Who that to the fam, man. Thank y'all for being in this one. On this episode, man, we're going to talk about some of the latest things the Black and Gold have been getting into. Like, they announced the signing of Xavier Harris. We covered that one maybe a week or so ago. We talked about the impact that Xavier Harris could have with the Saints. I'm really excited about that pickup, to be honest with you, fam. Um, Donaldson, the undrafted running back from out of Ohio State. I'm really excited about that one too. Like I said, I'm doing the rest of the video edits for the Patreon show. I'm late on that one, but I promise I'm gonna get that one to you as fast as I can. Big ups to y'all. Shout out to Triple D Pilot. Much love, Deborah. Shout out to her. And listen, fam, all the family members, man, know that the undrafted guys, man, there's several of them I really like a lot. But Xavier Harris, man, that was huge. That was a big signing for the Saints. He's a guy that needs some, I ain't gonna say motivation because he got a good motor. Discipline, guidance is the key word of the day with Xavier Harris is concerned. Guidance. And that's, man, listen, that slick side was a nice move by the Saints. Really impressed with that Xavier Harris move. I think Bo Davis, our defensive line coach, is going to get a lot out of that guy, man. He's going to really get him on level and have him playing some really good football for the black and gold for a very long time. So we definitely needed some help in the interworkings of the defensive line. We had a few older veterans right there that's out of here in a year. Having just people, space eaters like Christian Miller, Xavier Harris, and others, I think they'll be super, super awesome to this interior defensive line. We got to keep our linebackers clean so they can drop into coverage, roam, blitz, whatever that we need them to do. And big guys like that will keep your linebackers' shirts nice and clean, man, so they can handle their business. All right, big ups to you. What's up, Slim? What's popping, man? Good to see y'all in the chat, man. Let's get into some of this stuff. If y'all have any questions or who that's out there listening, please do me a service by hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. And by all means, feel free to share the show. Let them know we live, man, at 10, a little later in the game, but not a long stream. But we're going to talk some Saints football tonight, man. Let's talk about the mini camp, man, as we get going in this thing as well. Saints rookie mini camp, undrafted picks, and everybody involved. This is from the Saints website themselves talking about the rookie mini camp. Y'all guys know that's currently in move. You know, it's operating right now where the Saints bringing in all of their guys. These the guys in the they drafted and the undrafted guys. You know, and we're gonna show you guys the list. This is the numbers the Saints released this one of what the rookies are going to wear, and of course, some of this is going to change as some of these guys make the final 53-man roster, and some names are not available anymore, and some numbers are open up. So some of these will change, but you can see Jordan Tyson wearing that 0, Bryce Lance at 18, 19 for Barry and Brown. TJ Hall has number 34, 36 is Lorenzo Styles Jr., Christian Miller, the big defensive tackle, wore 51. That's Cesar Ruiz's number currently. Just have to wait a couple more years. He'll get it. Jeremiah Wright at 65, and Oscar Delp wearing a true tight end number 88. He was wearing number 40, number 4, I think it was, coming out of school. What's up, Antoinette? Shout out to Antoinette. And this is a part of the game where we really excited to see our young rookies get involved coming into this rookie minicamp. Now, these are some of the people we talked about, our draft picks and all those guys invited, but also, you know, the undrafted guys, like we talked about CJ Donaldson, the big running back, 6'1", 230. He had like 40 rushing touchdowns at Ohio State. Really excited about CJ Donaldson as an undrafted guy. Saints always seem to find these guys. Number 43 is what he's wearing. We got Cody Hardy, the tight end, number 70, Allen Heron, and these tackles have a real opportunity to kind of push to make the lineup. Allen Heron, the big offensive tackle out of Maryland, 6'3", 300 plus. Then you got Mike Heldman, the edge rusher, 6'3", 268 from Central Michigan. He's another guy that I got to start next to in terms of, I like the undrafted guys. Mike Heldman, and I talked about him on a prior broadcast. Mike Heldman, man, I love his motor and the fact that the guy just lives in the backfield. You know, he's a little bit undersized there, but nonetheless, I do like his motor. And then Saints have a couple of DB undrafted guys, Deshaun Jones, Jeremiah McClendon, both good size. So the Saints did a really good job of bringing in cornerbacks with, 6 feet tall guys. Deshaun Jones out of Alabama didn't get drafted, but a lot of people like his skill set. Jeremiah McClendon from Southern Illinois is also the same size as well. Defensive end Keyshawn Silver is 6'4", 330 pounder, nose tackle, another space eater there. Mason Shipley, the kicker out of Texas, a pretty accurate kicker. JVR, the defensive lineman, 6'3", 300, and Alex Wolschlager, who's another guy that I got to start next to watching his film. Big guy, puts his hands on you and moves you clean on out the way, 6'7", 310. Then, of course, you look at some of these other guys. We talked about the rookie minicamp that's currently on the team already. Damian Walford, Alford, who is the big 6'6", 225 pounder from Canada, who the Saints picked up, and probably one of the more intriguing wide receivers that we have. A big guy like that. We have usually a big wide receiver like that. It's always the opportunity, if you need him to kind of convert him to a tight end or whatnot. But if you watch some film on Alfred, he's a good blocker, and he's a red zone weapon, no doubt about it. Dallas Beanham, remember him from last year, solid cornerback, just didn't get the reps. We've seen a little bit of Ella Davidson drew last year's cap. Kosai Izzard, Easton Kilty, who really didn't impress, and Jaden Price, who I liked a lot last year. And then the tryouts. This is the really interesting part of it, family, watching the tryouts here, is that the rookie tryouts are really interesting. The Saints are bringing some of these guys in, and maybe a couple of these guys actually make the team. What's up, H-Town? Shout out to you, brother. Good to see you, man. He said, I don't think they address the interior of the defensive line and the linebackers. Werner should be in the NFL, and Werner shouldn't be in the NFL. He shouldn't be in the. I wouldn't say he shouldn't be in the NFL, bro. I wouldn't say he shouldn't, but hey, man, listen. Danny Stutzman got drafted for a reason. You bring in Caden Ellis on a multi-year deal. You draft Danny Stutzman. So what the hell does that tell you, right? What does that tell you? You know, I'm just saying, man, at the end of the day, you know, there is going to be some competition in the linebacker room. Jalen Ford's another dude that I like a lot in the linebacker core, but you're right. That's why I was looking at Harold Perkins. I was saying to myself, the Saints would have done themselves to get Harold Perkins, but that's in the past. But I wouldn't say he don't supposed to be in the NFL. I know the pressure's on. That's why they made the Stutzman picks. Like, we know Demario Davis was going to be okay. If that's the case, then they should have felt comfortable enough to say, hey, man, Pete Werner's been here for how long now? You know? And he's ready to step into that role, and we just need to get Stutzman next to him or whatever. But no, they brought in Caden Ellis. And Caden Ellis will compete. You'll have Werner there. But the question I have for you, you know, I just Creole, but everybody out there, the great Saint think tank, the Who Dat Nation is, do they continue to keep the experiment going where they kind of have Stutzman and Werner in like a co-starter role? You get what I'm saying? Because Werner had solid numbers last year and the experiment worked. Like, remember, he would get hurt the first couple of years. He was in and out of the lineup. He was dealing with injuries, this sort of thing. And then the last year, the Saints kind of had Danny Stutzman, like next, you know, Demario started the whole way. And then you had Werner and Stutzman. Like, Stutzman was like a co-starter, almost like he didn't exactly 50-50 it, but he did well enough where I think Werner had like 70 tackles and Stutzman had like 50 tackles last year. So, I mean, what part does Stutzman play in this thing? You know, do they really believe in Pete Werner? You know, that's a lot of, we looking at Ruiz, we looking at a few of these other guys. But yeah, the Saints could be due for something else happening in that linebacker role, man. We'll see, man, how it looks. But you bring up a point there, my man. All right, yeah, we'll see how that works. But let me get back to this, fam, because this is the interesting part of it. Thank you, H-Town. When we talking about what they're adding here, right? Now they bring in Tay Banda, a linebacker, 6'2", 235 from UT Martin out of Houston, Texas, is his hometown. A 6'3" defensive back from UTEP, University of Texas at El Paso. So you have a 6'3", 205-pound DB. That'll be interesting. More than likely, he probably would be a safety or whatever. I guess they would see what role he would play. They had to bring in another offensive lineman, Matthew Bedford, An offensive lineman, 6'6", 305 from the University of Oregon. They bring him in here. Another wide receiver, Caleb Blaha, 6'2", 200 plus from Wisconsin River Falls. Another offensive lineman, and Joshua Braun, 6'6", 342 from Kentucky. Wide receiver Braylon Braxton, actually that's a quarterback, 6'2", 230. That's a big quarterback there in terms of size. It's a running back almost. Braylon Braxton, which is very interesting, from Southern Miss out of Frisco, Texas. So anytime you bring in quarterbacks, and the Saints have two quarterbacks on this list. They have Braylon Braxton from Southern Miss, and then there's the other quarterback further down here. What's his name? I think Easton Stick. Now Easton Stick is a veteran, right? He's matter of fact, Easton Stick was on the team that Kellen Moore with San Diego, well, not San Diego, the Los Angeles Chargers. Easton Stick was a quarterback then when Kellen Moore was there, and giving them an opportunity to come out here and try out for the Saints. And Kyle Trask. And now y'all remember Kyle Trask I think he was a second round draft pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of University of Florida, and it just didn't work. They went a different direction and put Kyle Trask in the street, and he's a big quarterback with a big arm, and he's trying out for the Saints. So Kyle Trask and Easton Stick, two veteran QBs and an undrafted guy, and the personage of what's his name? I got it up here. And Braylon Braxton. Linebacker Sam Brumfield, undersized linebacker, 5'11", 225, University of Memphis. Defensive back Eric Butler, 6'2", 195 out of San Diego State. McCallum Castle, who's another tight end prospect, 6'4", 244 from the University of Tennessee. Johnny Chaney, linebacker, 6'3", 230 from FIU, linebacker, pretty productive. They got an edge guy, Charles Easters the third, 6'3", 270 from Texas Tech. Rasul Faison, the running back from the South Carolina Gamecocks, 6'6". I thought he would actually get drafted. He didn't. 6 feet tall, 218 pounds. Another DB, Jakari Foster, 6 feet, 211 from La Tech. Javon Gibson, wide receiver, big wide receiver, 6'4", 215 from Abilene Christian. Defensive lineman Cam Hamilton, 6'4", 292 from the University of Tulane. We know Tulane. I remember Cam Hamilton, very productive guy, big guy. Did some positive things for Tulane. We'll see how that looks, because the Saints could definitely use some more help, like internally for the offensive line. They could still use some more depth, a little bit more depth in the defensive line. People want to see more linebackers involved there, and you can see a lot of defensive backs on this list as well. The Saints having a thorough workout period for a lot of these people, man. Davis Heinzen, the offensive lineman, 6'5", 311 from Wisconsin. Braden Johnson, a linebacker, 6'3", 248 from Wyoming. Young Wei Koo. This is probably the most interesting of all the names on this list is Young Wei Koo, the former Atlanta Falcon kicker who was just knocked down, drag out good. He won so many games for the Falcons, man, kicking them home. And then all of a sudden he just went right up off the cliff. But it's interesting that he's here, right? We know the Saints already brought in the kicker we just talked about from the University of Texas, Shipley. But Young Wei Koo is here to try to kick out. That's crazy work. If he ever could put it together, I wonder what that would look like. Because you can see it. You're thinking the Saints might be set with some of the people that they have, because they did sign Charlie to a 3-year contract. Like last year, they signed him to it was not an expensive contract, but they put some years with Charlie. But Young Wei Koo would challenge him. If Young Wei Koo can gather whatever he lost, because he kind of fell off the cliff kicking, if he can gather up, man, he can really press young Charlie, man. That kicking situation might be interesting, but he has to make it through the minicamp to get an opportunity to get to the bigger side of things. Ty Malone, a defensive lineman, 6'4", 309 pounds from Ohio State, another Buckeye. Marion McCoy, a defensive back, 6 feet, 180 from Boise State. Mekai Muse, wide receiver, undersized guy, return man, 5'8", 185 from Houston, just a blur. Kate Noonkester, we bringing in punters to kind of help out. Big punter, 6'6", 220 with a big leg from North Carolina State. Tristan O'Brien, who's a long snapper. Let's give Zach Wood some competition there. Why don't we? 6'2", 228 from Eastern Carolina. Mason Randolph, who is the outside, offensive lineman for the Boise State Club, 6'4", 309. Brock Reichsteiner, wide receiver, 6'2", 225 from Jacksonville State. Bob Schick, offensive lineman, 6'6", 305 from Oklahoma State. And you see Easton Stick and Kyle Trask, both of those guys. We talked about them. Tawee Walker, the running back, 5'8", 218 from Cincinnati. This guy's a bowling ball. And then Malachi Williams, an edge, 6'5", 252 from Boise State. Not a bad player. And JT Woods, who is a defensive back, 6'2", 195 from Baylor. So these are some of the people the Saints are bringing in here, man, to try out. And it's an interesting, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. It's an interesting names here, man. It really is, especially when you talk about Young Wei Koo, when you talk about some of these quarterbacks, these veteran guys, and that they bring in like Kyle Trask and Easton Stick, looking for maybe a fourth quarterback to add to the competition, a camp person, but it just goes to show that the New Orleans Saints are really saying, hey, man, we are trying our very best to create an environment of competition everywhere. And if it didn't show you that's what they were trying to do in terms of the wide receiver room, in terms of the running back room, in terms of just, now they adding the defensive backs. And if whoever's impressed off this list of people that we're showing, some of these undrafted guys that we trying out, some of them can get the boot. And some of these other guys moving. Because like I said, it's still a few things the Saints have to figure out here in terms of, and there's some time here, but looking at the team, this is pretty much what our club is going into the season. Now, we might add a few more pieces here or there, but for the most of it, you can look at this and say, this is the New Orleans Saints team gearing up going into 26, the year 26, 27 regular season. Very interesting, but I just love that, man. The Saints, like I was anticipating a smaller undrafted class rather. The Saints went in and just brought in a bunch of guys. They're doing the same with the tryouts, and I think it's really cool. They're bringing in competition everywhere, and then just and then on top of that, let me just give a shout out to Kellen Moore, man. Let's just clap it up for him. It's Kellen Moore, man. Listen, man. Kellen Moore knows this team. It took him a year to figure it out, but he knows this damn team, don't he, family? I mean, 3 wide receivers in the draft, from top to bottom, from the top literally to the bottom of the draft, 3 wide receivers for the room, not to mention the 3 that he added last year. So he kind of just reformed it in front of our faces. Then you look at the fact that, the running back room, Travis A-Chain. You're looking at Ty Chandler, who's another dude. Devin Neal is who he drafted. I just got to it's all. And then some of the questions. And remember, this is on top of, this is a 2-parter, right? The first part was last year. Remember what happened last year when they had guys like Isaiah Foskey, the slow man, and Trevor Penning and guys like that was subpar, that wasn't ready to be on a football team. Y'all remember that? What happened to those guys? Them guys got up out of here. Now, the previous administration, those guys were allowed to breathe air in the team. You see, it's a difference. When people pay attention to the team and understand, hey, man, we need more production from this guy, the contract and the money is not meeting the production. And then on the other end is, if the guy wants the money, the production got to go up so the two match. But, man, I'm going to just be real. Kellen Moore has been studying this team, man, and has really looked to elevate, because that's what it's about. It has to be, guys cannot feel comfortable. They cannot feel comfortable about just being, I'm this guy, I'm that guy. No. You can't, especially when you're a team that kind of been out of the playoffs as long as we've been out of the playoffs. That's just something that ultimately we just can't do that anymore. Now, this is one of our graphics says, you can see right here, family, last time the Saints, and I don't remind you guys too badly of this, but it's also a good and a bad thing to understand the last 6 seasons. Last time we seen the playoffs was in 2020 at the 12-4 team, right? Finished first in the division, ranked second in the conference, and we lost in the divisional playoff. Then 21, no playoffs, you went 9-8. 22, 7-9. 23, 9-8. 24, 5-12. 25, 6-11. So the Saints have not reached the playoffs in 5 years. And when you miss the playoffs like that, it just creates a whole environment of funk and stink, that ultimately you be like, the coach is like, man, we got to figure some kind of way to make it back. We got to make it some kind of way. And how do you do that? How do you change the culture? It starts with competition. And to be honest with you, a lot of the people, I ain't gonna say they carried the team, but a lot of the people that you can rely on a lot of these guys are going. Cam Jordan is no longer here, right? Cam is gone. Then you look at guys like, Cam is gone. DeMario's gone. Alvin's on a 1-year deal. So some of the staples, I mean, these guys, Cam is going is a first ballot Hall of Fame, in my opinion. Alvin Kamara is the greatest running back the Saints ever known. The greatest running back ever is Alvin Kamara. The greatest running back ever. Let me show y'all. Shout out to Stat Muse here. Alvin Kamara, most career rushes yards as a Saint. Look, 7,250 yards. Ingram is 6,500. Deuce is 6,000. George Rogers at 42. Dalton Hill, the mighty Dalton Hill at 41 plus. And then everybody's below 3. So you got the 4,000 guys. You see Pierre Thomas, 3,745. Ruben Mays at 34.8. And then on down in whatchamacallit. So you see Ricky Williams is 31. And then you go farther down, people are like, well, Reggie Bush is less rushing yards than Taysom Hill. I don't know if people realize that, but Taysom had 25.51 and Reggie had just under 21. That's crazy, huh? But that's just what it is. And he ain't bad. He ain't as farther than, he just a little bit further than Archie Manning, man. That just showed you how good Archie was in scrambling and moving. But Alvin Kamara is the greatest running back the Saints have ever known, man. And he controls and dominates in other statistical categories as well. But a lot of these guys he's the last one that you have before ultimately, the Saints can move in a different direction. And that's the point, that this is a new team. Tyler Shuck is to be taking the team over for the first time as a starter for a full season. So instead of seeing half a season from Tyler, we'll see him in the full season role. And you got to look at the Saints. Okay, they're setting them up to be very successful. I'll be honest with you. They're setting them up to be major league successful. You're getting speed at the wide receiver position. You're getting tight ends, the 3 tight end package with Oscar Delp thrown in there with Noah Fant and Juwan Johnson. That helps you in a red zone situation when things get a little sticky. You have running backs galore, A-Chain, Chandler, Neal, Elvin. And it's just wonderful, offensively speaking. And then the help on the offensive line. Getting Edwards at left guard. The maturation of both our ends. Kelvin Banks Jr. is going to be phenomenal. Tylee's going to be better as well. These guys are going to be phenomenal. And then McCoy. McCoy is still a question mark because of his health. I think he'll be ready for the start of the season. But that's, to me, it ain't even Cesar Ruiz anymore, because Cesar Ruiz is now understanding that a lot of people see him as a weak link. He challenging himself. If anybody, I know a lot of people, and even some of the reporters, I've seen another article, somebody calling him a weak link. Damn. But it's your play stands before you, sir. Your play is not, it hadn't been all that, my sir. But nonetheless, you're working with Tyrann, with T-Stead, working with him to get back. So he's he has a mind that I'm going to improve. So that'll help out. That'll make things better because that's all we wanted to do. It's like, man, come on. But then Eric McCoy is a big question mark too if his health, because he is a key to all of it because Eric is the brains of the offensive line. He knows all of the protections. He's just a stellar player when he's healthy. But we don't really have a clear backup. We let our other guy leave to go to Carolina. We didn't bring in any veteran backups to come here. I thought we would go and find another Luke Fortner. We didn't do nothing in the draft, so they like Torricelli Simpkins to play that role, and we'll see how that goes. But nonetheless, what I'm saying is you just see that the Saints, man, are just all so serious about creating competition because you got to flip the culture. 5 years of being out of the playoff race, my goodness, fam, that's a long time for us to be out of the playoffs, and a lot of it was a lot of it being out of the playoffs was just incompetence. A lot because they had several very good teams along the way. It just was incompetence, not getting the most out of the players. But, that's not the same with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore pays attention to the team. He knows which players need to improve. And it's just Mickey Loomis is working very well. It's Mickey, not just Mickey. We just can't give it to Mickey Loomis, like all to Mickey Loomis. Like Mickey doing a great job. Mickey's doing a good job now. But also, you got to look at Slick Mick. I call him Slick Mick and the GMs. Because remember, Mickey Loomis hired a bunch of former general managers who ran pro teams in different places. And they act like advisors. And they sit around and they kind of mull all this stuff out. And you have all of those those GMs and all that experience there that you can benefit from. It just makes the draft selections and the moves a lot more thorough, and that is Saints fastly becoming one of the smartest teams from that perspective, right? So I got to give them that due because as a Saints man and studying this team backwards and forwards, fam, like I said, I'm very impressed, even up to today with them trying out people like Easton Stick and Kyle Trask and Young Wei Koo. You know what I'm saying? I thought Charlie was your guy. No. We got to bring some competition in. A bunch of wide receivers, a bunch of defensive backs, a bunch of defensive linemen. They got running backs mixed in there. Tight ends mixed in there. Every group from an undrafted standpoint that they bringing in, they trying people, linebackers, every edge rushers, everything but center. I ain't see no damn centers on this list. But it's just, regardless or not, man, every group, even wide receivers, and we literally loaded with those, the Saints are looking at people. And I just love that about the Saints right now. I know that's how you flip the culture. All right, anyway, man, let's keep this thing moving, man, and grooving here as I go to the next one, man. I am trying not to hold y'all too long on the broadcast. We're going to talk about the Saints' strength of schedule. How about that? We're talking about this. What's up, Greg? Shout out to you, man. Hemisphere says, I think if Cam comes back, it's because someone is on IR. The Saints need him to fill out a roster spot. Yeah, but this is the thing, too. I read y'all. I don't know if y'all seen the latest show. It came out a couple. It's a lot of work I've been putting in, but the latest show that kind of compared Clavion Chasen to Cam Jordan. And what I was doing was it gave us some insight on what the Saints were willing to do at the edge position. Now, Clavion Chasen kind of said during his live, he kind of let it loose that the Saints offered him a 3-year deal at $39 million, but he decided to go with the Commanders' 1-year, $11 million deal. And we saying, okay, the Saints don't have no money, all this. Now, I asked you that if the Saints gave Cam, he offered him a 3-year deal, according to Clavion Chasen, the Saints offered him the 3-year deal at $39 million, right? That's something like I think he said $13 million a year, something like that. And then he said 3 for $39. Now, what's interesting about that is like what the deal that the Saints offered Cam, he didn't say it was disrespectful, but when he was asked about it. Y'all remember what he said? He said it was about a respect thing. So obviously, whatever the Saints offered him, it wasn't a respectful deal in Cam's eyesight, and he ultimately ended up clearing out his locker. So, and when people ask him, "Hey, Cam, come back," they be online and doing the news reports, all this. I be seeing people asking Cam, come on back to the Saints. And Cam says he loves the area, but it's all about respect. He can't give them a discount, all this kind of stuff. But how different could the deal be, obviously, if you think about it, between what the Saints offered Cam and what they offered Clavon Chase? And I know they're apart, I think, about 10 years. You know, they're about 10-year difference there. But Cam wants, it's coming out that he wants to play for multiple years. And I don't know if that's a problem with the Saints, more so of what the money is, but to offer Chase and 3 for 39 and whatever they offer Cam, obviously it was so disrespectful that Cam that's like, that showed the real reality. And see, then the market then justified it, because that's been a while since he cleared out his locker room, and we haven't heard too much from anybody. Now, he originally went and started talking to 2 or 3 different teams in warm environments. Some believe a couple of them out of Florida. Some believe one from California. That was the rumor mill. Now, the truth is, there's no one out there currently, that wanted to pay Cam's rates. So whatever he gets, it won't happen until, injuries start hitting, we get closer to the season, this sort of thing, and somebody might bring him in. But he has an idea of what kind of money he wants to make. And I'm thinking it's like north of 7 million. It's like between 8 to 10 that Cam wants per year. But he's saying, listen, my resume speaks for itself. I got this many sacks. I did this, I played this many games. I can, because remember, you call Cam an edge rush, he'll get pissed off at you. Y'all remember that? He'll get past edge rusher. He'll get pissed off at you because he sees it as, if you telling him the edge rush is like likening to a mechanic that can only change oil. He can't do nothing else but change oil. So he can't fix the car. He can always. But Cam saying is a guy he could not only just play or pass or rush the quarterback, but it's also a guy that can drop and and you can cut, if you need to drop back or cover the run. That's another thing Cam does. Like he plays the run well. He also rushes the passer. 10.5 sacks last year from Cam. That was pretty good. But in the end, man, we'll see how it all goes. But me, I say no. I don't think Cam comes back here. When people start talking about respect and money, that's something different. Plus the Saints, regardless or not, it wasn't, expensive moves, but they did give up a 5th round pick to get Tyree Wilson from the Raiders during the draft. They also bringing in the linebacker Anthony Jennings to also do the same thing. And I'm not saying none of those guys, no disrespect to Anthony or Tyree Wilson, but they you would need to multiply them several times to get even close to the resume that Cam has produced. So in the end, my perspective is, when you have guys like an AK-41 or Cam Jordan who want to remain with the team and they can still perform at a high level, yeah, you don't have to give them the world, but it got to be somewhere along between what they're asking, what he's asking, and what the Saints. It's got to be somewhere in the middle we can meet for you to finish your career with the Saints, right? I think a lot of people would like to see that. As long as it's not too expensive, it's got to be somewhere in there, in the middle there, that he can do it, because he can still do the job. He can still do it. But anyway, that's shout out to you guys. I just wanted to address Hemisphere's part of that, man. Yeah, Slim says he had 10.5 sacks. He got that's right, Slim. He got gas left in that tank. It's like an old cut jalopy or some damn thing. He got gas left. Yeah, you got some gas left in that. Thank you. All right, let's hit this up, man. Saints 2026 strength of schedule. Y'all hit the button as we keep going, man. If y'all not a sub up. Strength of schedule. This is what we're looking at. Difficulties coming up in the NFL. Saints finished last in the NFC South last season. As a result, they will face 3 opponents next season that also finished last in their respective divisions. This is excellent news for the Saints' hopes of improving their record next year, but it also plummets their strength of schedule. According to whoever this is, SF Data Niners, the Saints have the second easiest schedule when using the current record. So we at this juncture of time, again, fam, when we talk about records of what we seen last year. Now, y'all, and I'm not usually a person that pays a lot of attention to this, but when you watch what happened with the Patriots last year, right? The New England Patriots benefited greatly from a very weak schedule per se. And we do realize that some of these teams who, it's basing the numbers off of what they did last year, some of these teams are going to improve. But man, if you go back and watch how the Patriots got there, fam, they stayed healthy. And then listen, they just didn't, scoop along. They played some good football along the way. They were healthy. And they were able to get all the way to the bowl. But they were benefited greatly by injuries to key rivals. They were benefited by a weak schedule. Their schedule wasn't all that strong, but nonetheless, guess what? The Saints looking pretty good. Now, this is a graphic right here that's showing you the strength of schedule according to the researcher who put this together, showing that the Bears have the toughest schedule according to the records or the schedules from last year. The Bears, the Dolphins, Packers, Cardinals, Chiefs, Patriots went from one of the worst to the sixth team with the schedule. And plus they facing there's some talking too going on right now, man. TMZ just released something new that came across my news feed. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all seen it. And I don't, man, whoever holding these pictures, boy, y'all got to be careful out here what's going on, because they just like not releasing none of this stuff. It's like they just holding it and then releasing it, holding and releasing, holding. They got video footage of these people 6 years back. They don't even know. None of this stuff was leaked until the time came. You see how they be playing games? But nonetheless, it was some new footage that TMZ released that showed that Vrabel and Rossini had rented a boat for a number of hours by themselves, like a boat to go out. Not a fishing boat, it's like a boat to go out there, like comfortable boat to go out there. And then they showed the footage of her. She turned around because whoever it was filming them from the dock somewhere. So whoever it was, they was following them around, and they didn't know it. And they just show her walking, and she was pregnant, noticeably pregnant, and they getting on the boat together. And I'm like getting this weird feeling. You can make a movie out of this shit. I'm telling you, you can make a movie out of what happened with this, man. Because just when you think it's about to get over with, then it moves up again. And now, as I don't think it's going to be over with. I think in a little while they're going to release some more footage of it. They're going to have some footage of them playing PlayStation or some stuff. Watch. They got all kind of stuff going on with this. But now the talking point is now that they thinking about he might have to step down because of what happened. So I don't know. We're going to see how it all shakes. But I got the feeling, man, that that she had one of them children that's named Mike. And man, hey, listen. That's all I'm going to say. One of them babies got 2 babies, and one of them named Michael, and she been Lord help us. Y'all keep an eye on y'all people, man. Y'all pay attention to them damn patterns. I've been warning y'all about them patterns. Anyway, let's keep it going. The Chargers at 6, 7th is the Raiders, 8 is the Bills. The Chargers is 9. Look at the Carolina Panthers got the 10th hardest schedule in the NFL. Vikings 11. Jets are up there at 12 now. The Raiders are 13. Seahawks, who just won the bowl, they're at 14. 15 are the Broncos and Coach Payton, who I think Vegas has Payton them as one of the top people going into that thing. You get me? But the Commanders are middle of the pack. You got the Giants at 17, 18 of the Niners. Steelers are 19. Cowboys are 20. 21 is the Buccaneers are 21st. 22nd is the Jags. Eagles are next. 23rd, 24th, Ravens. 25th, Titans. 26th, Texans. 27 Lions. And then you get to the Falcons, who are 28th, with the fifth the fifth weakest schedule. Colts, Bengals, Saints, Browns. So the Saints family have the second weakest schedule according to the final records of 2025. And unless people say that it means something, it might not mean something. Shit, it means something for the Patriots last year when they had the weakest schedule, one of the weakest schedules. It helped them walk on in there. But that's what I'm saying about taking advantage of the opportunity that you have. And the Saints are not playing. They're doing everything they can do to make sure they ensure themselves to have a successful season. I heard some of the people saying, the bettors saying it's a 6.5 games or some crap like that. I don't think so. I think we get more than that. And I won't say we go 10 games or whatnot, but I'm saying the offense is obviously going to be the determining factor on the success of the Saints. There's still some questions about the defense because I do believe there's going to be some slippage on the defensive side because of the loss of Cam Jordan. Chase Young stepped up and did really well. Remember, Chase missed a month worth of the season to start off. Carl Granderson fell off the cliff toward the middle of the year. He started strong, had 6 sacks, and just kind of fell off. And that's been Carl Granderson's MO lately. Last couple of years, he's not finishing strong the season. And then, of course, you're missing Demario Davis. You need somebody, Caden Ellis, to step in there and take command of the defense. And we still have, some other positions, the star role to figure out. And health is also a part of it. The special teams need to improve as well. So I spent a lot on the punter to get him to help you out there. We got to work out the return game and coverage on the side of the Saints need to get better there. So there's a few things to be watching out for on that side. But yes, they're doing what they can do to kind of get this thing straight away. Strength of schedule, always an interesting factor to consider when projecting the future win totals. And for the Saints, it seems that they could have a chance to improve on the season. Obviously, the offseason has yet to begin, so we do not know which teams got better or even what moves the Saints will make. So the past season, massive jump. The Patriots, they mentioned it, the Patriots took what, was largely attributed to their strength of schedule. Yes, they are a great team, but if the Patriots have a more challenging schedule, there's no guarantee they could repeat their current success. As you can see in the graphic, we will see if that happens this season. So the Saints have their QB, head coach, young pieces to build upon, and several other positives going into the offseason. Now, with the potential easy schedule, the sky is the limit for this team. Shout out to Canal Street Chronicles. On the scoop. Second easiest schedule in the NFL. Some people say that means something. Some people said it means nothing. It meant something to the Patriots last year. They went all the way to the bowl. And I'm not saying we're going to do that. But like I said, still stuff we have to figure out on our team. And that stuff won't be ironed out until we get to where the big camps, the camps that matter. Like we start really building on it because you should see a streamline effect because they had to establish the defense, establish the offense, this sort of thing. And now that you have them immersed in the system a year, you should see more of a streamline effect and nuances into the offense, like stuff as you can see. Obviously, Kellen Moore's focus is to stretch the field. They got big wide receivers that can run to take the top off defenses, athletic tight ends, multitude of different styles of running back. Travis Etienne is not just, he's a do-it-all type guy. A home run hitter, they call him. Ty Chandler ain't no slouch either. Devin Neal, AK-41. So they are a team that, and then looking at the strength of the offense line and getting better, spending big money on Edwards, Jeremiah Wright to compete with Cesar Ruiz. They mean business, man. They mean business. So this is good news if you're a Who Dat to watch this sort of thing happen here, man, to be honest with you. All right. Shout out to you guys. All right, y'all hit that like button, man. Slim says, should Saints should be playoffs or bust? I don't know if playoffs are bust, bro. I don't know if it's a playoff or bust mentality they have. I think right now they're giving a platform. Like right now, the Who Dat Nation, that just goes to show you how great the the Who Dat Nation is, the Great Saint Think Tank is. The Saints finished with 6 wins last year, right? They finished with 6 wins. There's still a lot to work on, but it's the way the Saints finished the half of the year, like the wins that they did get. Like, we got swept by the Falcons. Usually the Who Dat Nation would be pissed about that. They'd be upset, man, why don't we lose to the Falcons? But no, it wasn't not even that same energy. That was weird too, because we seen through that. Like that, it's okay, y'all got that, whatever. But we seen what we got a glimpse of it, didn't you? You seen the quarterback. You seen what he could do and be if you protect him, give him a running attack, give him people that can stretch and he got a big live arm, plus he's super fast. So it showed y'all got a glimpse of it. And I was like, wow. People were excited behind the Saints, like the Saints had won 10 games last year. They really was. You had a quarterback that played 9 games and finished second in the rookie of the year voting in 9 games? Are you kidding me? All these records that he did in 6 wins. So it just goes to show you, it's like the same energy. Like we won 10 games. The Saints had, because we all seen a glimpse of it. It's like, oh yeah, there it is right there. So did Kellen. Kellen said, listen, we're going to do this. Got all these speed demons, all these speed wide receivers, big guys to stretch the field, opening up the defense, take the top off. Got people that can work underneath. You got space backs, guys with speed everywhere. They're going to be a problem. You got a fast quarterback, fast running backs, 5 fast wide receivers, just speed everywhere. Size at the tight end level, athleticism. The issue is, can the defense, because it's a lot to ask the defense, man, to remain strong after losing Double D, Cam, and even to a degree Alontae Taylor. That's still an issue. Who's the star? Who's going to be the star in that defense? And if whoever it is, can they kind of match the production or even step it up and do a lot better? I think Alontae did a solid job. He just didn't get the interceptions. If he was there, that would have been really stellar. But outside of that, who's that going to be? So we got questions. All right, shout out to you. What's up, Kelvin? Shout out to Kelvin, man, from Phoenix, Arizona. Big ups to you, my brother. Good to see you out there. Did they ever solve that case with that lady, man, the reporter's mother out? And I don't think that's by you, but did they ever solve that yet, man? Did they solve that? Y'all let me know. All right. Vernell, what's up? Vernell says there's no such thing as a bust this season. If we don't make it to the playoffs, we need to temper our expectations a little. Yes, indeed. I agree with this. I just want to see improvement in this team and see if we can get an identity and culture for this team. Very patient approach and a really mature comment right there, Vernell. This is true. Other family members have said in the comment section as well. Yes, I agree. I think the Saints don't have to do the playoff or bust thing. I think they can grow naturally. We don't have to pull. We don't have to pour what you call it, the growth hormone, or we don't have to pour a bunch of chemicals on top of them to make them grow faster, right? We don't have to do that. We can just, because you already see. You've seen what they did in the size, and Kellen Moore seen it, and he'll add some more to it. But he said, man, we can be phenomenal if we had some more this, more that. We got to beef up the line. He did all that. He really did. That's why I was like, man, I had to clap it up. We had to hit the clap button for him early in the broadcast, because Kellen Moore, man, listen, he's looking at this team like we are. And I'm like, wow. You know how frustrated it was in the last administration to sit up here and say, why aren't these people fixing this? Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing? It's just so refreshing to have a guy to look at his team and know where the weaknesses are and fix them. Getting guys off the team who can't play or contribute and bringing competition to the team. It's so refreshing. The last dude was so blind and so inept and so stupid that it was so frustrating to do Saint broadcast watching that happen. But it's so very refreshing to have somebody that knows football and knows their team, that studied their team, that knows Ruiz needs to step it up. So I'm going to draft Jeremiah Wright out of the University of Auburn. And then people say he's just going to be a developmental prospect. You can say what you want, but Jeremiah Wright ain't taking it as a develop. He's trying to get in there and push Ruiz out of there. And plus, on top of that, Ruiz has already got a fire lit up under him because, y'all heard we played it on the broadcast when he went on T-Stead's broadcast and talked about people not believing in him and they don't think that he can do it and all this kind of stuff. Bro, we just want you to step it up. It's been a problem. So when people talk about AK-40 numbers, 41 numbers was bad, but they don't mention the line, how that work? Like how y'all, and that's why I just thank the Most High for having a sports coma to tell it like it is, because we do the broadcast. I sit up here every Sunday or Thursday or whenever the game come on, and we do live play-by-play from start to finish. Don't we? For years we've been doing this. And what I remember exclusively about last year dealing with Alvin Kamara was the fact that AK-41 was running into gaps that were closed quick. He see him and hit him, but these people not mentioning none of that. I'm like, how you talk about stats, but don't talk about how the stats happen, man? It's all about insight. Alvin Kamara would get the numbers if the damn hole was open. Those gaps close quickly. We seen it. I seen it happen. Like I was talking about it during the podcast. Like, man, these guys, because they'll get stuck. The linemen will get stuck. You didn't see Dylan Reduns or Cesar Ruiz climb to the next level. They'll double block a guy and get stuck on him. You ain't supposed to get stuck on him. You help him block and then slide off him and go to the linebacker. Here come Alvin following you there. But when that didn't happen. You'll see him hit that hole, and then soon as that hole will be open, and then right when he hit it, there go a linebacker or a safety pop right in front of him. Why? It's a team effort. It's 11 other guys that got to help him so he can help the team. He can't do it by himself. He might be able to rip off one to the side and all this kind of stuff. But if you know football and you watch the film, it ain't all about the end result on the stat. You look at how we got there, and I'm telling you that those gaps close quickly. He will hit that hole hard for 2-3 yards and then get there, get up and drop the ball frustrated because them guys wasn't doing their job. And he was dealing with, prior to Dylan Reduns, you had Trevor Penning. Them guys couldn't even block to save their lives, man. Them guys wasn't opening up no holes. McCoy was still banged up. He was getting pushed around. Remember that? Y'all remember that? I remember all that, man. I ain't gonna sit up here and bash down on AK-41 and not sit up here and watch the game and them damn linemen wouldn't even open up in lanes for him to run. What are he supposed to do? Run through their bodies? Just saying, man. But nonetheless, I'm just dropping. I'm about to segue to the next talking point here. Vernell says, yeah, even though we lost 3 starters, our defense, Elijah, our defense ends up 9th in the league with the loss of DeMario and Cam Alontae. I hope you're right on that, bro. Because it's a lot to say when you talk about the Saints defense. And we're going to be missing some of these people. And a lot of what we see on that Saints defense, man, it's going to have to function a little bit. I mean, but you got to understand, these are legendary players that are being missed. Like you're going to be missing Cam, not only his pass rushing, but also his setting of the edge, his leadership in the locker room. He's not going to be there. I don't think he comes back. If he comes back, fine. I just don't think he comes back. I think the offer that the Saints made him was so disrespectful that it was just like, Are you've given me this after all what I've done? All I mean for the team. Remember in the interviews, he kept saying the same thing. And, he is going to start listening to his resume and talk about his effect in the community. He was a perfect ambassador for the Saints in the NFL. Did all the right things, said all the right things. And at the end of the day, this is my offer. This is what I don't get anything better than this. I think that hurt him. You can see in some of the stuff he said was just business, but Cam, you can look at Cam and see that he was hurt by that, man. But when you missing Cam, you missing Demario Davis, and even though people don't think Alontae Taylor was all that, he still did a really good job in what he did. He was solid in what he did. In other words, there's still questions at each one of those positions. We know Caden Ellis is a solid linebacker. We know that. But how does that look when you see what I'm saying? Demario Davis meant a lot to that Saints defense. Boy, he was there for years holding that Saints defense down. When you pull him, Cam, out of there, they're gonna look different. So we'll see how it all. What's up, Kathleen? Shout out to Kathleen. Brother Greg says, I'm saying, like you said, I say, yeah, I have to see some stuff, but I am so encouraged about the Saints, man, because there is a mindset that they know what's wrong and they really are trying to fix it. They're bringing all these undrafted guys and creating competition. They're trying to change the atmosphere and the culture of the team and do these positive things. And I just find that just so cool, man. And I got to give them nothing but respect on that, man. For real. Real. All right, anyway, let's keep it going, man. This is the final thing I'm going to talk about on the broadcast, man. Is somebody sent me this online the other day. Shout out to Tyrann Mathieu. He was online. He did a broadcast, and I don't really watch the brother's show. I really need to start. I've been busy. I need to check out his show more. And it's the first time I actually seen his show. I want to say, what's up, Tamika? Shout out to you. Appreciate you, sweetheart. All right, yeah. So I mean, yeah. Hold on, Kim. Slim says, "I'm just confident about how they finished last season, how they attacked this offseason. Yeah, in new direction. I just think the Saints going to do well. I don't think they'll win just 6 games. I think that's lowballing it, but I'm fine with that because whatever the case, whatever they believe and think that it will be, it's cool. Because in the end, the Saints have to be able to build this thing right. Nothing built fast lasts long, bro. But I do think with enough progress, man, because all these other teams, not to disrespect anybody else, but all these other teams had solid drafts. They had solid drafts. Carolina had a solid draft. Tampa Bay had a solid draft. They all hit at needs. They're all serious about competing in the NFC South. And you can see that the South is slowly getting better. The NFC South is slowly rising up and getting better and better and better. And the Saints sitting on top of that thing, man. 2 really solid drafts back to back, being smart with their money, not kicking the can down into the future. Different moves, different energy, man. This is how you get back to being a contender and being in the playoffs every year, doing what they're doing, just being smart, being diligent, picking up people, paying attention to your team. This the vibration and energy that we know that leads to great things that we seeing with the Saints. And I just love it all the way, man. I'll be honest with you. Anyway, let's jump to this. Will be the final topic of discussion right here before I cut you guys loose. Y'all hit that like button if you're not a sub up. Tyrann Mathieu, man, recently broke some news that he was talking about on his broadcast. He mentioned it. And this was something that was posted on Twitter. Some of you guys probably heard. Man. Out to Trey and brother Petey Weestraw. Shout out to him. He think he sent me this online to kind of react to it. I'm surprised I never seen this before. But this is what he had to say about what was it? Explains why the Saints are mistreating Alvin Kamara. The Saints aren't dealing with him in good faith. This is not the way you treat your all-time touchdown leader. One of my good sources told me, and then he goes into it. All right, let me put this in the chat.
I'm going to say something, and I hope it's not taken out of context. I don't think the Saints is dealing with this in good faith. I don't think so. I don't think this is not what you do to
I think it's
your franchise. And I'm
bad relationship.
I want to be hesitant to say that, but this is not the way you treat your all-time touchdown leader, or And I know Kamara. I know his production hasn't been what we thought it was going to be,
right?
But he is still this franchise's leader,
right?
In fucking yards and touchdowns, and so
I agree with that, and the fact that that's the same thing with Cam Jordan. Cam is the top sack master, broke a bunch of records. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Some of those guys should be given. You've played, you did all that. You should be given special consideration. Is what I'm saying. You earned that much. Cam should have been given a respectable contract where he was allowed to finish out his career with the Saints. And Alvin, even though Alvin wants to remain, Alvin's under contract The contract protects him. See, it works both ways, doesn't it? It works both ways. You know, the contract protects the player and the team, right? So when the team feels like it wants to save money and get rid of them, the contract protects them. So if you have to release them, then you get hit with certain things. You already used the Deion clause on his contract to free up more money. They want more money on top of that. But in the end, the contract protects Alvin. All he's doing is just staying fast with it.
Without him having 1,000 yards, rushing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I don't.
I mean,
My honest opinion, bro, is that I think the Saints, and I think I mentioned this on a couple episodes ago, but I think the Saints would rather not have to make a hard decision, and he just walk in one day and say, "Hey, look,
this is what I'm
gonna retire."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think they really got the, and I know Mickey. Mickey's I hope you don't take this wrong, but I just don't think they got the balls to just outright cut him. And it's kind of the same thing with Cam Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather you come out and say, Cam, go find someone else to play.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I think some people respect that honesty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Brett Veach told me, like, when I left the Chiefs, bro, he told me, bro, I ain't got no money for you or Tyreek. And I was fucked up about it. Cause damn, like, we just come off a Super Bowl and 2 Super Bowls, and like, how the fuck ain't got no money?
Where's the money?
Gave Pat $500 million. Like, tell him to fucking give you $8 million back. I mean,
something.
You can't find that money?
Right. Where is it at?
Well, this is something y'all put one in the chat, because we did shows on this. I covered this ad nauseum because I know people too. I mean, I'm from here, so I know people. People tell me stuff. We know Mickey Loomis. I've been saying this for a while, man, that Mickey Loomis is arrogant. I've said that a while. Mickey Loomis did not like the fact that the family members forced him to fire put pressure on Gail to force him to fire Dennis Allen. Mickey did not like that. He didn't like that at all. He was going to ride with Dennis Allen all the way through. But I wouldn't say Mickey don't have no balls. I would never say that. I think I think the contract protects him. The Saints probably want him to be there, but they want him to be there in the way they want him to be there. But Alvin, like, I got a contract. Y'all gonna have to honor the contract on through, and he's gonna sit on that contract, and we'll see what the Saints do about it. But in the end, I think he got the balls to cut him, and this ain't over with yet either. We'll see what it looks going forward. But Alvin is protected by his contract, just like a team would be if a player did not want to play. They're protected by the contract. So, I wouldn't say he's ballless. That's one thing I wouldn't say about Mickey Loomis, that he don't have the balls to cut him. I think I remember last year he approached Alvin Kamara and asked him, where do you want to go? Y'all remember that? Alvin, what was that, last year? I think it was the year before. I think it was the year before he asked him that. The year before, he asked him, where do you want to go? And he was like, remember he told that story? Like, where he's like, I'm not going anywhere. He had to reintroduce that over and over again, that he wants to be a Saint and remain with the black and gold and keep it moving. But I don't think Mickey Loomis doesn't have the balls to cut him, or the Saints eventually. I think it's still a work in progress. We'll see where they go with it. But Alvin currently, he understands that, hey, man, I'm going to be here. I'm protected by the contract. So, but Mickey is Mickey is prideful, and Mickey is stubborn, and Mickey, it does have some bad ways. He does.
So
should bear it.
Yeah, bro. But back to Kamara, I just don't think it's going to end.
No, I don't think it's
and it sucks, bro, because it's very, very hard to play for one team your entire career.
Mm-hmm.
But just to get out of this game unscathed is even more impressive. Yeah. The only motherfucker I know that got out unscathed was, Larry Fitzgerald.
A lot on you.
But it seems like everybody else sort of hits a wall where it's
right. Yeah, it's
it's some tension between you and these clubs that you play for.
Yes.
So I'm gonna leave it at this. But one of my good sources told me, a few people in that building, they are mad at Kamara because of the way he sort of spearheaded getting Dennis Allen fired. And so you got somebody fired, but you didn't produce neither.
Right. Yeah, I ain't gonna
and
lie.
I think,
It just
the Saints
like
organization, like if people that haven't been a part of it, is really like a family. So you're going to argue, you're going to fight, you're going to do all that shit.
True.
But at the end of the day, you family.
That's true.
And I think a few of those people, a few of those decision makers who was in love with Dennis Allen, because he did have great defenses. He was one of the guys to bring home a Super Bowl. And it's just history there. And I think some people pick a side.
You picked Dennis. Yeah, I remember.
And I think he got caught in it, and
he's still in it.
So I wish him the best, man. I wish him well. You would hope that he could go somewhere and just sort of finish it out, last 2-3 years somewhere. But
you think he made enough money to just say it, like, y'all just go ahead on and cut me. I can go find another job.
Yeah, bro, but everybody don't want to live like that. Like people don't want to bounce around. People don't want to,
I get it.
I get it.
And I talked about this the whole time, man, too. And I was hearing things, and I told y'all what I know when this all was happening. See, number one, this is a subject because number one, a great many of the Who Dat Nation do not like Dennis Allen. Let's just say that, right? Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, is different from Dennis Allen, the head coach of the New Orleans Saints that drove the team in the ground, that got fired on the back of a 7 or 8 game losing streak, who lied to Jameis Winston when he came back and said he couldn't, that he was going to give him an opportunity to play, but did not play him, that apologized to the Atlanta Falcons, who threw his team under the bus and backstabbed his team when they wanted to go for a extra point touchdown for Jamal Williams on the last play of the season. And he told them no, and they asked him, and they said, what we're going to do? They did it anyway. Now, they were wrong for that, but at the end of the year, as a head coach, you don't throw your team under the bus and tell everybody, that was their idea. No, man. You're not going to find too many people that's going to like Dennis Allen. That's number one. It's a raw period of time, because those were some of the most stanky, funky, disgusting years as a Who that I had to endure since the Mike Ditka era of the late 90s. That's how terrible that was. So Dennis Allen is not liked as a head coach down here. Defensive coordinator, get all my respect in the world, because that's what he was. He was still is an excellent coordinator. And that's no knock. He did not have the personality or the character traits, the attention to detail to be an NFL coach, because there's a lot of stuff you have to pay attention to. He did not have that. He lacked it severely. That's why he bottomed out. And it wasn't Alvin Kamara that got him fired. And it wasn't Alvin, from what I knew, and the people that I knew was saying that it was Kamara that was spearheading anything. It was Marshawn Lattimore who was really the head of it. Marshawn Lattimore, and it was several other players that were leading that movement that did not like that Dennis Allen wasn't listening, and Dennis Allen was running the team in the ground. And y'all remember how it played out. It was the family base, the support base, because the supporter base stopped showing up for the games. They stopped showing up. Remember the Detroit game when people started selling their tickets to Detroit, and then you seen a bunch of blue jerseys in there, and Mickey came out and said, well, that's because, the people just, they needed the money. They just sold their tickets. Y'all remember that? He said, we covered all that here. It's not a good topic to talk about Dennis Allen in any capacity as a head coach. As a defensive coordinator, you're not going to find too many people that's going to support Dennis Allen in any case. But Tyrann Mathieu, I remember Tyrann Mathieu in many interviews. Dennis Allen is the cool coach, and Dennis Allen gonna have a way to guide the Saints with a new alpha mentality, and all this pro rah Dennis Allen stuff. I remember that. But for what I remember, it was the fucking Who Dat Nation that drove Dennis Allen out of here. We put pressure on Gale. Then Gale went to the players and asked many players their thought process on it. Bink Saunders was one of them, remember? They were defensive players beating the charge who did not like Dennis Allen. Remember, they were telling us that there was no fractures in the locker room. Put one in the chat, man. I got a memory. And I know my history. I covered this stuff. This is what we do. Put one in the chat if you remember this, man. That's why it's always good to have a historian, a person on top of this that's going to keep it real and tell the truth. Tyrann Mathieu is a pro Dennis Allen guy. I don't like Dennis Allen. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like him. And I told you why I don't like him. He drove the team in the ground. But outside of that, I don't think it was Alvin Kamara. And I don't know who he's talking to. I really think that's him. I'm going to just be honest with you. I think it's him. He's just 2 years removed from the Saints. He knew exactly what was going on in there. And Mickey Loomis is mad. He was mad because he was mad then about the time that Gail forced him to do something that never happened before. Nobody don't force Mickey Loomis to do nothing, not even the owner. She told him to fire Dennis Allen and get him on. Now the guy was on an 8-game losing streak, I think it was. Teams falling out of the flow, getting beat, losing games. And Mickey was not going to fire him. Gail forced it. We forced Gail, and even the reporters covered it. The inside reporters came out and said it was the supporters that got him out of here. You want me to pull up the article and show y'all? Do put one in the chat if y'all remember. I covered all this. Y'all could just go back and look in my archives on the channel. I don't even like thinking about his ass, to be honest with you. But it was the supporters. I remember publications, all of them were saying that about the supporters. The supporters was the ones that they gave credit to for getting them on out, because people did not show up for the games. People was calling up the headquarters. You won't know how I know, because I was the one calling and handling the number out. We had to take the team back. The team was failing and they were wasting time. The man went up there. He was responsible for getting Derek Carr. That was a debacle. He brought Derek Carr in here. And then, it was just a disaster, man. It was a disaster. So the family members got together. They stopped showing up for the games. They were calling down there at the headquarters, because I remember I covered it all. They were sending emails. They had some people saying they would meet Gail in the street. And it got so bad that Gail even said so. She was talking to people, then she went and talked to the players. And after she talked to the players, that's when they put him in the street, said, Mickey, you got to go and fire him. But I told you, they don't make a move unless the money behind it. It's the same thing we made Gail do when they got rid of Willie Green. Come on. It's the same thing we did with Willie Green when we got Willie Green out of here. People stopped showing up for the games. They put pressure on her, and then they figured out, fine. I was saying it the whole time. The reason why the man Willie's still here is because Gail is cool with him some kind of way. It come out that she was cool with Willie's wife and didn't want to fire him, even though he was underselling the team and not doing what he's supposed to do. But it got so hot on her to the point where she came out with a press conference, with a letter saying that she's not protecting him and that Joe could do whatever he do. The next day after that letter came out, Willie Green was fired. You see what I'm saying? That's y'all did that. Y'all did that. Not just one player, because I remember it was Bink Saunders. I remember Marshawn Lattimore, and there was others that was beating the charge. Elvin was one of them. He was one of them. I'm keeping it real. I covered this stuff, man. Just telling you like it is. The supporters ran Dennis Allen out of town because we didn't show up. We was not buying the tickets. We wasn't buying the jerseys. That money went down, and they don't play that. When the money goes down and the people are frustrated, they're going to get rid of the coach. They're going to get rid of the quarterback, whoever you want them to do. You control the team. If you don't show up for the games, they will clear them out of there. I'm telling you. I told you that before it happened. People saying, "Q, no team, no supporters can control, or the fans, as they call them, can't control what an NFL team do." I said, that's crazy. That's not true. You mean to tell me you can drive the U.S. economy based upon what you do and what you invest in, but you can't control an NFL team? Boulder Dash. You don't stop, but you stop buying them tickets and that merchandise and see how they switch this up. And that's exactly what they did. No company can do something despite its support base. If they count on the support base as money, and if they're going in a different direction than the support base, then they're cutting their own throat. They're going to ride with you regardless because they need your money. You and I've been saying this for the longest time. They won't call you all this other stuff, but I'm telling y'all are the power. Y'all the blood of the machine. You're the power. You run it all. If you say no, it stops. That's how I go. That happens in the stock market. That happens wherever you want to apply it. If you say no collectively, it stops. You control all of this out here. I've been telling people that before any of this happened, because they want your money. And then if you want the money, you got to represent. And then the Who Dat Nation, man, has stepped up and say, man, we're not going for this craptastic football no more. We tired of this. We tired of that. People stopped showing up. They wasn't buying the tickets. People was giving their season tickets back. I remember all that was happening. That lady said, oh, no. Looked at that bank book and said, oh, put them in the street. It ain't deep, man. They all about making money. And if you tell them you don't like something and you stand up enough for y'all, man, listen, they'll change. It'll change fast. But yeah, it was time for to go. It was time for him. That's why this is a sole subject for a lot of people, man, because a lot of people don't like the man. They simply don't like him. You know, I don't like him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like Tyrann Mathieu. I just don't like Dennis Allen. I'm just being honest with you. But let me finish up with whatever he was talking about here. Let me finish up with this, man.
But just to get out of this game unscathed is even more impressive. Yeah. The only motherfucker I know that got out unscathed was, Larry Fitzgerald? But it seems like everybody else sort of hits a wall where it's like, it's some tension between you and these clubs that you play for. Yes. So I'm gonna leave it at this. But one of my good sources told me, a few people in that building, they are mad at Kamara because of the way he sort of spearheaded getting Dennis Allen fired.
Well, I tell them just like this, they can scratch their ass and get glad because he's protected by a contract. And ultimately, you can't, if he's not going to be traded, because he already said that if you try to trade him, he's going to retire. So you're not going to get no value there. So when the contract works for the player, I'm satisfied. Just like sometimes we see on the other end when players don't want to honor the years on the contract, like they'll sit out if they got years on the contract remaining and they want a pay increase or an extension. They'll try, like, remember what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson did when he refused to come to practice and then he would just show up half the practice and leave and all this kind of stuff. We're like, hold on, you got a contract. That's your word on paper that you're going to do this. It's not like they're doing him any favor. Alvin has a contract. He's protected by the contract. He's protected by the bargaining agreement. He's protected by the union. Now, if the Saints decide we're going to release him or whatever else, that's the Saints. That's still within their pocket. But Alvin Kamara already said on the Tyrann Armstead's broadcast that he's going to be here. He has no slight at all with playing with Travis Etienne. He really doesn't. And I believe him. And he's been the most consistent figure in all of this. He said the same thing for the last couple of years, that he does not want to go anywhere. He has 1 year remaining. I'm going to say it again because people thinking like he ain't got no contract or something. No, he got a contract. He's protected by the contract. He's still under contract for one last year with the Saints, and he intends to finish that out. But shout out to Tyrann Mathieu for even dropping some of this, man, to know that. But remember, the Saints were saying at the time that there was no fractures. Remember that? Remember we were saying that? They were saying there was no. I could play your interviews, post press conferences with reporters asking Dennis Allen, are there any fractures and cracks in the locker room? There is no fractures and cracks. I just lie about everything. Don't fix nothing. Just lie and pretend like it doesn't exist. And you see where that got you. But like I said, the man was horrible, man. What can I tell you? He was a terrible, crazy coach, and I'm glad he gone doing something else. Anyway, this is what Tyrann said after this, and people was kind of lighting him up in the comment section. They were saying some stuff to him in the comment section. They showed some support too, but they had people that was kind of saying some stuff going at him. I'm like, he didn't say anything that was, in my estimation, he didn't say anything that was out of pocket. He didn't say anything to me that was out of pocket. You know, he was saying there was fractures in the locker room. He's saying they didn't like, but Alvin was the last remaining member of the group that that was very vocal. Binks, I'm telling you who they were. The people were telling me who they were. I know who they are. Binks Saunders was one of them. But I told y'all during it. I told people all this when it was happening. I told them it was. I told you it was a group of them that was leading. It was Bink. It was Bink. It was Marshawn. It was Alvin. Cam chimed in on it, but he kind of rode the fence. And then there were other players, the lesser known players, that were there because they were tired. And you got to understand why winning athletes and winning people have a problem. And from what I was, keyed in on is the fact that they were saying those players were frustrated because they weren't being heard. Like, they'll bring their frustrations and they weren't being heard. And that's some of the thing, because you can't just have a room where ain't nobody listening. You can't have a team and the players can't vent to you. They can't tell you what's on their mind. And that's pretty much what that I heard was going on. They were tired of the losing and they didn't see an end to it. Morale was at an all-time low. But still in all, I don't remember no player-only meetings either. Remember, I was talking about all that. I was like, where the player-only meetings at? Don't the players have some accountability here? Where the play? And they had one player-only meeting. That was game after game after game. One players-only meeting where the players were supposed to meet, talk about what they were going to do and how they were going to turn things around. And then you know what ended up happening? Dennis Allen, some kind of way, ended up at the players-only meeting, and he catered the meeting. Put one in the chat if y'all remember all of this, man. Covered all of this. I said, that's not going to work. It needs to be a player-only meeting. They need to be accountable to themselves first. They don't need any coaches in there. That's why it's player-only meeting. Players talk to players about how they're going to turn this thing around. Some kind of way it turned into what I just told you. All right, Tyrann then adds, imagine hearing this and then somebody was cutting his videos up, I think, because he really got pissed off about it and put this message with it and said somebody was cutting up his videos to make it seem like he's a hater or he's messy. And Tyrann is not a hater, and I don't think the brother ain't no messy dude. That's not even how he is. He ain't no messy dude. He a straightforward dude. He tell you the honest truth, and he rough just like I am. So he gonna tell you the truth to the best of his ability or whatever knowledge he got. So he says that's not really been me. Furthermore, I am from New Orleans, so I know how to deal with New Orleans people. Some of UMFers only respect. He says some of UMFers only respect you when you get ignorant. So somebody pissed him off some kind of way. They was cutting up his videos and make him seem like he was hating on Alvin Kamara. And because I'm gonna tell you it's a part, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't think Tyrann understand what happened, but I could tell you how they can misinterpret that, brother. When you said meaning you got Dennis Allen fired, when you said that he spearheaded it, and you got, meaning Alvin got Dennis Allen fired, and then you didn't produce. So when you put that together, it sounded fun. Even though that probably wasn't the case. Sorry about that. Y'all had a little snafu. But that's how they picking it up. That's how it sounded when you said you spearheaded it and you got him fired, meaning Alvin got him fired and you ain't even produced. When you said it like that, that's when people was like, hey man, what you talking about? That's what I could kind of see what they said right there. That's probably what it is. So it was a little mix up right there. But he said you have to use your whole brain, not just the side that only engages in mess, drama, and bottom feeding. Push positivity, push peace, push better living and thinking. I'm done with this topic. He says, all you folk who say, oh man, he ain't do shit with the Saints. Who said that? Oh, they telling that man. Telling that man, you ain't do. Hey, bro, listen, man. Tyrann, You stepping in the podcast world, my brother. You step into the podcast world, my brother. You gonna get people like this. You gonna get people like this all the time, brother. I've been doing this for years. And you gonna hear some shit. You gonna hear all kind of stuff, brother. I don't think you gonna hear all kind of stuff. Oh man. He said he ain't, man, come on, man. That man he had some good years with the Saints. Cut it out, y'all. Partly true, but I did learn. He said partly true. Oh man, he didn't do shit partly. No, it's not true. You did good, bro. You did good, bro. I wouldn't put you in the top 5, but you did good. You did some stuff. You had interceptions. You was back there handling your business. But you did good, brother. You and you did good with the Saints. I was happy to have him on the team to see him, man, because I loved him at LSU. I was sad that, because a lot of people wanted him to be a Saint. And he became a Saint. I was happy he joined the Saints. So people tell him he ain't do nothing with the Saints. People be tripping. Tell that man nothing. That got him all in his feelings. Partly true, but I did lead the team every year in forced turnovers, I believe. So much in team, I gave Saints $2 million back. Mm-hmm. He certainly did. Just so we can get more players. Yeah, he's the guy is a player. He's a team player, man. And I walk away. I paid them almost $2 million back. I might be the realest, in the universe. Nah, you might not. You might be one of them, my brother. But it's all good, my man. Welcome to the podcast space, Tyrann. But that's man. I could tell you right now what really got them, that really why people kind of keyed in, the ones that disagreed with what you were saying about AK-41. It was how you said it, even though I could see where they might have taken that to a space or a place. I get it. But everybody understanding ain't the same, man. So sometimes you gotta explain yourself. Leave no assumption. Leave no room for assumption. Leave no room for assumption, man. Everybody gonna, told that man he ain't do shit with the Saints. Ain't that cold? That's some cold chicken. To tell that man that, man. Come on. You don't tell him that. Don't do that, man. Don't tell that man that bull crap. He go out there and put his health on the line, playing for the Saints, working out, doing all that. The people get out there and tell that man he ain't do nothing for the Saints, man. I don't agree about that, man. Whoever said that, man, you need a whole foot up your backside for doing that. All right. Yeah, Jerry said they mad. They can scratch their ass and be glad. That's right, bro. That's right. That's right. Because the thing is, like I said, what he's saying, Tyrann Mathieu telling you about, he's saying Alvin Kamara. He's right. Alvin was part of it wasn't him by itself. And from what because I had people telling me, and I told you guys, say word on the street. Because you hear things, people tell me stuff. That's what I heard. That it was a group of Saints. Not one particular person was spearheading it, but the person that was involved with those people, that was a part of that group, the only one that's left is Alvin. You get what I'm getting at? So I understand what he's talking about. All those other guys are gone. They restructured Laddie Daddy's contract and got rid of him to the Commanders. They traded Bink Saunders for Luke Fortner, right? And then a couple of other ones where Cam was kind of in there, but kind of straddling the fence. Demario Davis and Tyrann Mathieu ain't say anything. But all of the people that were originally part of it, they're all gone except for Alvin Kamara. That's what this brother talking about. So, I mean, that's my side of it, fam, from knowing what I know from people that was keeping me to the game. So I just clear that up. But anyway, they shouldn't do that, man. Don't talk shit to Tyrann Mathieu like that. He didn't put his brain and his body on the line, practicing, getting hit and all this type of stuff. And people didn't tell that. That's real disrespectful to tell him he ain't do shit when that's a lie. The man was out there getting interceptions, making plays, making tackles. The first year was a little shaky. He had to learn the system, but boy, the following after that, the man was out there making moves and playing. So I mean, that's hardcore, man. That's just, I find that incredibly tacky and disrespectful to tell that man that. And you got them all in this field. Look at this little message he left here. Got them all tore up with it. But yeah, bro. Yeah, this is the podcast space, bro. All right. Shout out to y'all, man. Appreciate you. Yeah. Yeah, Slim. That's cold chicken, brother. That's cold chicken to tell that man that. That's so disrespectful to tell that man that, man. Terrible. Dylan says, matter of fact, where's Lattimore? No. I'm telling y'all. See how it makes sense when you put the two halves together. You remember? That's what I was saying. The whole thing with Dennis Allen, because remember, Marshawn Lattimore was the most vocal of everybody. He was the most vocal of everybody. He was the one that was complaining about, and listen, he had his right to complain, because the thing is, the Saints were just losing badly. They weren't practicing correctly. Remember, Alvin said many things. We talked about it. Remember, Alvin Kamara said one of the things. Put one in the chat if y'all remember Alvin saying that guys would be just false starting in practice and nobody would say nothing. Put one in the chat if you remember that. He would drop little pieces in the interviews. He wasn't happy how things was going on when the Saints was doing all that losing. And as a leader of the team, you are supposed to step up and bring it to your coach. But according to what was being told, the guy didn't want to hear none of it. He didn't want to make any significant changes. He didn't want to do nothing. You cannot do that as a head coach and expect to keep your team. You have to be able to hear your team out. They were even lying about the fact that there were cracks and fractures in the team. They were saying ain't no cracks and fractures of the team. They were saying that the whole time. And I said, that's a lie. And then if you're going to say that, then address it. And they didn't. When Lattimore complained about how things was in New Orleans, instead of them fixing it, they just said, we're going to fix your contract and trade you. That's what they did instead of changing the culture. And they didn't change. That's why I be saying I got to keep it fair. I give Slick Mick and the GMs credit, but it was Mickey ain't fixed this stuff by itself. He was forced to by you. You forced him to fire Dennis Allen. You forced Gale to put the hammer to Slick Mick to fire Dennis Allen. That's how it went. You put the people stopped showing up. They were complaining and calling up there, and she got tired of that. Talked to the players, and they put that man in the street. She ordered Mickey Loomis to put him in the street, and the reporter said it was the fan base that did it. The reporter said it. I covered it on the show. I did. They said that's what it was. It was the people. The people got him up out of here. Then the people forced them to reset, and then they reset it correctly. You see that? So take your role. You did that. Yeah. So yeah, Alvin he's the last remaining member that was involved with that. And Mickey is petty. How many times I told y'all that about Mickey Loomis? He's extremely petty. Extremely petty. How many put 2 in the chat if you heard me say year after year about how petty Mickey Loomis is? Tyrann's he's right about that. He didn't say he was petty, but these emotions Mickey Loomis does exhibit. This guy is just what it is. Y'all know it. I've been knowing Mickey Loomis for years. We've been knowing Mickey Loomis. We know how Mickey get down. You know, it's just what it is. But yeah, man, shout out to Tyrann Mathieu, man. And say, bro, don't listen too much to all that other stuff, man. You know your role and how you did, man. You was awesome player at LSU, the Honey Badger. Game changer. Brother did tons of great things at LSU. He did great things in the league, went to Kansas. He was Arizona, did really good things with Arizona. Getting the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. Getting the Super Bowl there. And when it's all said and done in 5 years, Tyrann Mathieu, in my estimation, I think he go in the Hall of Fame. I mean, y'all tell me, but I think Tyrann Mathieu goes in the Hall of Fame. Maybe not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but eventually I think Tyrann goes in the Hall of Fame. I really do. I think he's been that good where he should be in 5+ years. The man should be in the Hall of Fame. He was that good. So all these people talking shit, they just trying to get under your skin, my boy. All right, anyway, big ups to y'all, man. Yeah, look at the 1s, the 2s. 504 coach said they mad AK because they feel like he spearheaded DA firing, but AK was right because he understood the true culture of the city. And we talked about this. Yeah, Tyrann's mad. He's right. I mean, Tyrann's right. they are still kind of raw. That's Mickey Loomis. That ain't nobody but Slick Mick. Slick Mick asked him last year, any place you want to go? He said nowhere. But see, the thing is, Kamara's using his control. He has a contract, and the Saints got to respect the contract. He already told him that he's not interested in being traded. And if you try to trade me, I'm going to retire, which means you're not going to get any value from me. So they stuck with him for at least one more year. So you can bring another guy in. Kamara still gets his money. He still finishes out. Now, if Mickey Loomis wants to do something, the Saints still do have the power to make a move. They have running backs that they brought onto the team where they could try to absorb his loss. But in the end, if they need money or restructuring, because that's what they're trying to do with him, they might have to find it somewhere else because they still have to sign their draft picks. You know, they still got that to do. Now that they got all these draft picks, they got to sign them under contract. If they need extra money, they're going to have to find it somewhere else if they have to restructure without putting voided years on contracts or whatever the case may be. You still got Cesar Ruiz standing there with almost $10 million in annual money. You still got Divine Gacho standing up there with $6.4 million. That ain't going to match his production. I don't think it should. You still got Isaac Yiadom with $2.4 million. For what? For what? So, I mean, there's still money around, but I think they're looking at Alvin like, hey, man, what about that 10-something right there? He's like, man, I'm good. So, you know, in the end, we'll see how it all goes. But this is incomplete. We still know that at any given time, I don't think Mickey Loomis, if they really, we'll see what they get done, right? Because I know trading an option. He ain't interested in being traded anywhere. He wants to finish here. He said that. So, you know, it is what it is until it ain't. All right, 504 says they mad. Yeah, this is true, bro. Shout out. Definitely a Hall of Fame. Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu, in my opinion, is a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think the brother's a Hall of Famer, man. I'm going to just be honest with you. All right. Devonk says the narrative about AK not the same player is wild. Dude, nowhere dear. Yeah, I know. Last offense, 2 televised on top of bad. All that. I know, bro. And that's what I was saying in the broadcast, man. Appreciate that comment because more people need to be aware of the fact that AK-41 can't run the ball in between the gaps if the gaps ain't open. If you don't believe me, simply go and watch the film like I did. I did it 2 or 3 times on each game because we covered the game on play-by-play. We come back on Patreon and break the film down. So at least we look at it 2 or 3 times each game. And in the game, I constantly highlighted the fact that the gaps were closed so quick is ridiculous. The gaps were closed so quick. I mean, you couldn't, it was impossible. He would hit the hole, it would open, it would hit, and as soon as the gap was closed and the linebacker was there waiting for him. That's usually a lot of times, and remember, a lot of times Saints didn't use fullbacks. They were running Alvin and what I call naked, meaning he didn't have a lead blocker. He'd be running and hitting the gaps by himself. He didn't have a lead blocker there. So they'd be counting on offensive linemen to slide off a double blocker. You know, they double blocking the defensive lineman. Guy would slide off of him and hit the hole, or get in the gap and then push through, get that linebacker out the way so that Alvin can follow him in there and get to that second level of the defense around where the linebackers live in an attempt to get to DB land and beyond. But a lot of time that didn't happen. That's why he had like less than 500 yards rushing. It wasn't because he was just, it was just Alvin was just that bad. Go back and watch the game. When do y'all ever know Alvin Kamara to be a shitty running back? I mean, seriously, we talk about Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is one of the most well-conditioned players. He never had no problem with conditioning with Alvin Kamara. Never. When did Alvin Kamara become a shitty running back? Think about it. It's foolish. It's stupid to even think like that. You got to go watch. I'm telling you guys, the offensive line were not opening up those gaps. They were, and then they close very fast. He'll hit the hole, pick up 2 yards, get stopped by a linebacker there. Or a D lineman that will detach himself from an offensive lineman and then grab on Alvin. Go look at the film. Look at it. When did we? That's just foolish. Alvin Kamara never was a trash running back. Never. And he got hurt running hard into them holes. I'm telling y'all. What God loved, which is the truth. I sit here and watch them games. That's how I kick against that narrative that Alvin Kamara ain't good no more. He's the best, most well-conditioned athlete. Like I said, he never got 1,000 yards a season. He got beat up a lot. He got beat up a lot. But Alvin Kamara owns a lot of records. That's disrespectful to even think about Alvin Kamara in that way where he is some type of crappy shitty back or something. That's crazy to me. That's Alvin freaking Kamara over there, man. That's the greatest running back the Saints ever had that they're talking about. He got all of the rushing records. He got passing records, touchdown records, all-purpose records. When it's all said and done, Alvin could be going in the hall. He might not be first ballot. But I'm telling y'all, man, it's never just him by himself. It was a lot of the Saints off. That's why the Saints had a recommitment to fixing the internal workings of the offensive line. Kellen Moore knows this truth. If he's going to run Travis A-Chain into that situation, they have to have better blocking from the guards in the center position, the inner workings of that from guard to guard. That has to get a lot better. The left guard position was trash last year. Y'all know that. The center position was up and down because McCoy was hurt. I don't think Eric was, when he came back, I don't think Eric was totally 100% healthy last year. Because you can tell when Eric McCoy is healthy because he's dominant. You don't see people standing up McCoy and pushing him back into his own people. I've never known him to have an issue like that. I don't think he was totally 100% healthy last year. And then ultimately later on, he missed half the year again. Then the right guard is Cesar Ruiz, and that's self-explanatory. So you tell me how you going to run between something like that. It just, man, listen. Dylan Redunce, busted up McCoy and the salad. He lucky he got that. He lucky he got the 480-something yards he got. Dylan Redunce, Trevor Penning. Penning was there at left guard. Penning and Dylan Redunce, the terrible twosome. Then you had the salad on the other side with McCoy banged up, and then he missed half the year after that, man. He lucky he got the 480-something yards he got. All right, anyway. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, OG said I've been saying that. Thank you, bro. Vernell says I thought he would have went after. I know, Vernell. I said the same thing, brother. I don't know why he didn't go after a center. I ain't mad at the wide receivers, but I think that at least one of them guys should have been like a center or something. They had some good centers available. We ain't getting none of them. So I guess he has Torricelli Simpkins tabbed as the center. We'll see, man. People asked him about that. 504 says, Q, am I crazy if I'm seeing 11? No, you're not crazy at all, bro. The Saints improved a lot of the holes on offense. They got a left guard that can block. Ruiz is got a fire lit under him, plus Jeremiah Wright, the Auburn offensive guard that played right guard his entire professional career. We'll be pushing him for the spot. So there's competition there. Same stuff I said, right? It's crazy because I said, man, the Saints need to address the left guard position. Saints went out there. I said they need to draft a guard to compete with Cesar Ruiz to push him at that side before any of this came out. Because I know my team. I know I said all this before. The Saints got the speed. We talked about it when we started the year off last year. Say, what the Saints doing with all these small peoples? They need to get some bigger wide receivers that can run. Guess what the Saints did? Got bigger wide receivers that can run. Because at first, Kellen Moore came into it, he had to figure out how he wanted to run his offense. It was a lot of dinky-donky-do, a lot of east-west stuff, right? And not much vertical stuff. That changed now. Now you see all these receivers because it's time to take the top off. It's time to take your sombrero off when we play. Expose your moonroof. That's what we're talking about doing. All right, Slim says, just like Jamal Williams was the leading rusher with the Lions, he comes to Saints and had one TD, fixed the O-line. Yeah, the line need help. Dylan says Jamal got that tutty because of Jameis. Yeah, you got it. Well, no, actually, it's crazy because you mentioned that, my brother, Dylan. But remember, if you watch the Jameis, because it's crazy because you mentioned that, and I watched that Jameis interview like 2 days ago, I want to say. and they were asking the late great Ed Daniels, rest in power to Ed Daniels, man. Ed Daniels was asking Jameis about that play. Y'all remember that? And he was asking Ed back, how you feel about it? And Ed said, I feel terrible about it. Y'all remember that? But I watched that interview and they asked Jameis like it was his decision. Jameis said it was not my decision. Remember, Jameis was sent in there to kneel the ball, right? He could have just let wasn't it Carr, whatever, whoever the quarterback, I think it was Carr. He could have let Carr kneel the ball down and end the game. So instead, what he did is Carr comes out the game, they run Jameis in for one play to kneel on the ball. So Jameis get in there and he asked Dennis Allen, hey, they want to, for the last play of the game, because the Saints scored a touchdown. It was what was it, family? What was it? It's supposed to be a kneel down or something. Yeah. So instead of just, kneeling it down, Jameis asked the coach, hey, coach, they want to get this touchdown for Jamal Williams. It's the last play of the season. Can we get this one for him? Dennis Allen told them people no. So Jameis says he turns to his offensive line because they asked what he said. And Jameis says, he said, no, what y'all won't do. And they told him, let's run it. And he ran it. That's what Jameis said on the interview. So, but Jameis got the blowback for it, and Shannon Sharp went off on him and all that. Y'all remember all that. But that's what actually happened. Jameis says he turned to the rest of them, and the guys have actually said that. The ones that they asked about, they interviewed about it after the game, they said that they all made the decision together to do it, and that's what Jameis said, because Jameis then said, he said, no, what y'all won't do. And they said, let's run it. So they ran it and got it. And then Dennis Allen went out and threw his team under the bus because nobody knew about that situation at all until he grabbed the belly of Arthur Smith, put both his hands, I don't know no man do that, but put both his hands on the man's stomach and was talking to him, and the man cussing at him and all this kind of stuff. And he walks off and then says he's justified for being mad, and he apologized to him. And then he proceeded to throw his team under the bus and said, they did that on their own. I ain't tell them to do it. He could have, that just showed a major character flaw. And that's why I said people don't like the dude. The dude has some really, he just was a nasty, crappy, disgusting person, man. And he plays a backstabber, a weasel. I just don't understand how a person can sit up here and like somebody like that. A weasel that was a backstabber, a liar. He lied to Jameis about having him when Jameis got back off injury. He's supposed to get the job. I mean, all kind of stuff that we've seen him do. Lie. He chose sides. Derek Carr lying about wide receivers running the wrong routes. He backing Derek Carr. It's just, he was just a weasel play. He was just a weaselly person, man. And I'm glad he in Chicago tearing this shit up or helping them or whatever he's doing. I'm just glad he away from my team. That's what I said. You ain't gonna find hard pressed for anybody that's gonna speak for Dennis Allen, except they're gonna say he was a good defensive coordinator. But the guy was awful, man. He set us back some years. We just getting from up under some of the errors that he did. His drafting wasn't all that during this period of time. He didn't develop players correctly. He went out and got people that didn't really, it was just a skunk works. It was terrible. But I'm glad it's over with. What's up, T Dirty? Shout out to you, my man. Appreciate you. All right. Yeah. He said, let's run it. I'm telling y'all, bro, we covered all this, man. We covered all this stuff, bro. We covered all this. But shout out to Tyrann Armstead, man. And a lot of those people stop telling that man bullshit like he ain't do nothing, man. Man put his body and his mind on the line for the city, man. He went out there and performed to the best of his ability. Like I said, I wouldn't have him in my top 3 as safeties, but I respect Tyrann Mathieu's contribution to the community. I respect his contribution from LSU, because I'm an LSU man. He a LSU man. He's from New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans, and the man represented. He came up, and the man made something out of himself, and I respect that, man. So they lay off telling that man that bullshit that he ain't do nothing. Now that man stepped up and handled some business. People that didn't, I can tell you who didn't do nothing in a black and gold uniform. I could tell you a bunch of them. Brandon Brown didn't do nothing for the goddamn Saints. Who else? Jarius Byrd didn't do nothing for the Saints. Come on, you better leave Tyrann Mathieu and direct your anger and your BS to somebody else. Go find them guys on social media and get at them. Go I tell you, I'll give you a laundry list of people who ain't do nothing. Tyrann Mathieu represented, man. All right, anyway. Brandon Brown or Jarius Byrd. Who else we got, man? There's a laundry list of funky suckers, man, that ain't do nothing for the Saints. You leave Tyrann Mathieu alone, man. All right, anyway, man, I'm about to get on up out of here, man. Shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Y'all get y'all prop bets in at FanDuel, man. Listen, the black and gold, man, is handling business, man. Listen, I'm proud of my team, man, for the moves that they're making. They're bringing a lot of these undrafted guys in, tryouts, veterans in tryouts, people at every position, from quarterback on down to defensive back. Kick, they got a lone snapper, punters coming in for tryouts. So I just love what the Saints are doing in terms of them going and just handling up and trying to build up the team and take care of business. Yeah, that's right, Sean. Sean said Derek Carr didn't do nothing either. Yeah, Derek Carr did some stuff, Sean. Remember he tried to jump over the top of Kevin Austin Jr. and face planted himself. And I ain't know what he was doing, bro. I don't know why you would even do that. I said, my question is, a man face planted him. He tried to jump over Kevin Austin had to be like, what is he doing? He tried to leap over Kevin Austin, and Kevin Austin just got from up under him, and he just went top down and face first into the mat and just broke his little old self up. I was like, why did that man do that? I got to give him some respect for trying to make a play, but I'm like, dude, that was, and it just looked so terrible because his little body was, his face was planted and his body was just terrible. He face planted. I was like, why did he do that? But yeah, Derek Carr did some stuff, and he face planted himself right there. That was him trying to make a play. So we got to give him some respect on that, right? So it is what it is till it's not. But anyway, listen, man, I'm going to get on up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all for hanging with me this late, man. Listen, y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on social media feed. Big Q representing the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. We up in this thing doing it major league, man. So listen, fam, I'm going to be back at a later date to holler at you guys, man. I know the last time I had an actual live, man, was the draft. OG said it was during the last draft, the day 3 of the draft, man. That was a while. So I'm going to start kind of pepping it up, man, and talking to you guys, man, a little bit more frequently with the Who Dat Nation, man. But I've been doing a little bit enough. My schedule kind of flexing, man, so I got to get at you when I can. But anyway, with that being said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on our push to 15 large, man. I think we're a couple hundred shy before we hit that 15 large. The Sports Coma well over a decade representing, keeping it real, trill, and handling business. But listen, fam, man, it's gonna be fun, man. I just feel this is gonna be a good season, man. Temper your expectations and just enjoy the ride, man. This is gonna be special. With that being said, I'm out. I'm gonna holler at y'all on the next one. Much love, peace, and who that tell you.
Yeah. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much to touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that at. Where we do that at. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that at. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the whotdatdaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the whotdatdaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic, NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.